Sunday Servings with Jane Hinton.
96.5 Bolton FM.
I say good day. Right, let's have part one of my interview with Jonny Woolnough, who heads up Present Nature, the band Present Nature. Their brand new album came out last Friday. It's called Present Nature. Welcome, Jonny, to Bolton FM, to Sunday Serving. I'm very grateful for you to give up your time for this quick interview.
Good to be here.
The new band that you've got, Present Nature, just tell me a little bit more about them and how they came into being.
Yeah, I had a solo album out in 2022, so 4 years ago now. The guys who are in Present Nature is basically my backing band for that solo album. We toured that and did a lot of stuff together. And then from that, we got asked to record what was effectively a second solo album with Bill Ryder Jones. So we went over to West Kirby to record that. And as we were recording it, and sort of these new songs were coming together, they were a lot more band focused. The band was as involved as I was really in putting them together in a kind of more basic form, and they were just coming together as band songs. And there was a lot of talk about maybe we should be a band, maybe this should be more of a like a collective, because they've all got their own things going on as well. Yeah, and a decision was made to not go out as a solo album and to call the album was originally called Present Nature, so we decided to call the actual band Present Nature with an eponymous album with the same name.
So you've got Owen, George, Ben,
Owen, George,
Jasper.
Ben and Jasper, yeah, that's right.
They're your band
Incredible
members.
musicians, yeah.
I watched your involvement with Bill Ryder Jones. How did you get involved with him?
Yeah, I'd met Bill over the years, but I got a call from, we had the same, a lot of the sort of team that were around Mallorca were involved in an album that Bill was doing at the time called Dear Scott for Mick Head. And so
Mick from the Red Elastic Band?
Yeah, from Shaq and everything. So they said, do you want to go and do some recording with Bill? And I was obviously like, I'd love to,
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. I love Bill's music as much as him as a beautiful soul that he is. So we went over to West Kirby, where his studio Yawn's based. We did a couple of songs, which was just it was right at the back end of Mallorca, my solo album. So it was early 2002. That had only come out like a few months before. And I think it was kind of sort of, I don't know what the idea was, like a demo or maybe a single for a new album or something. But it just really worked. Something clicked. We all got on famously. It was brilliant. We were the first two songs, though. So that on that first session, we did songs called "A Mother to a Girl" and "Man Knows." Banged them down, just like played them live. Like we were in there for like 3 days. Recorded, mixed them. Sort of came out of that 3-day session with "Man Knows" and "A Mother to a Girl" finished.
I know it must be hard for you out there without you cracking the whip under the sun. I know it must be hard for you alone without you steering the ship, leading us home. I tell myself it's not easy being woman in this The police came round here asking all these things. The collie buttoned her lip, sent them off home. They said they'd seen you walking barefoot home. Said you were laughing a lot. Bet you were laughing at God. I tell myself just not easy being a mother to a
then I got called to say, do you want to do an album? So it was, yeah, of course, so we just, that's when the sort of process started.
And when you got Man Down as recorded, I mean, it just seems to be like a totally complete song, as though you've been together for absolutely years.
Yeah. I think we caught something. I think
you did catch something with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I can hear this kind of nervous sort of energy to it, because that opening riff to Man Knows is me, and that's literally the first moment. I mean, we got there that morning. I think Bill was a bit late. We were setting up. Oh, how you doing? Yeah, blah, 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 sort of exchanged niceties. And then it was like, what have you got? And it was that, and I can really hear it on that recording. And I think with everything we did, we literally did like 2 takes. Third would get scrapped and we'd keep one, or the first or the second. So I think Man Knows might have even been first take. So yeah, you can hear it. But I mean, we were, they're a great band, and we were always rehearsed for these things. So we got those 2 songs, match fit for the session. So they were ready to go anyway.
So you kind of knew from there on that if you were to do an album, that you would definitely be able to get the songs and get them down. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, because that's the thing when you record with anyone, the production and mixing is almost like fashion or something. You can go in and present, but the way it gets manipulated through that process of studio, producer, mix, and everything is quite can be quite a drastic process, in a positive or a negative sense. And it just came out so well that it was like, this is great. Like, we need to do this with every song. They need to sound like this. This is perfect.
Like you say, when you go in and you're recording something, and by the time it's been produced and engineered, it may not bear any relation to what you actually played.
Yeah.
But that song doesn't feel like it needed a lot
of
production.
It just kind of fell out of us. It was actually written. I wrote it like years ago. I had it for my first solo record, Mallorca. And
I've seen, like, going back to 2023 that you were playing it back then, weren't you?
Yeah, so I'd had it a while. But yeah, it was one of those that just didn't really need much. Sometimes songs, you record them and you listen back and you think, oh, we need to really work on this and layer it and come up with new riffs and ideas just to fill that space that's there. With Man Knows, it was almost like, it was just perfect. It just kind of fell out, and that was it. I mean, I think we did a couple of overdubs, but...
Man
Present Nature put out last year, middle of last year, called Man Knows. We've got more from Jonny Woolnough coming up in about 10 minutes' time. The new album, self-titled, as you said, Present Nature, it's been ready for a couple of years now. What's that like? I mean, something ready, and that must be frustrating.
Really frustrating.
And you must be ready to move on to something else as well.
Yeah,
You can't just live off that,
exactly
can you?
That feeling. Yeah, I mean, and Bill would say the same. He's frustrated as well. It was finished. It was actually finished. The recording was finished at the end of 2023, and then it got mastered, I think, kind of spring 24. So that it's been in the can for literally 2 years. Yeah, really frustrating, but it's the modern music business, really. It's the way it is, and I'm kind of still a bit naive to it. I just kind of think, it's done right. Let's get it out. But then it was like, well, who's going to put it out? And then you get, you end up in some sort of like kind of mini small label X Factor where you're having to prove that it's worth releasing, and who are you and what are you, and and that's where the name change came about. Within that process, and it all takes time, and then you get onto someone else's roster and their way of releasing stuff, and you get given a slot, and it's just that it's a lengthy process, and you just have to sort of buckle in. But yeah, you're totally right. I've kind of moved on, and I'm having to relearn these songs to go out live, and I'm literally sitting down at the moment just trying to remember like how to play the songs.
Can you kind of cast your mind back to the start of the album, and what your thought process was? What's the inspiration for the album as such? I mean, I've seen that you did it like an influences mixtape with Daniel Rossen, Warren G, Stephen Fretwell, Tim Bernardis, Marvin Gaye, Arthur Verocai, so many influences on it, and you can hear, I wouldn't say genres. I don't really like that word, genres, but there are a lot of different sounding songs on the album. But it's definitely an album, and you said it's like a concept as well. You need to work as a concept.
Yeah, I mean, so no, it's really, really great question, Jamie. Because what happened was originally, as I said, it went in with Bill as it being a solo album. So it was kind of my second solo album. So a lot of those people at that time, I'd kind of was listening to like that Stephen Fretwell record. Busy Guy is brilliant, just him and an acoustic, effectively done by what's the producer called? Guy who did the first Fontaine's album. Dan Carey, exactly.
Dan Carey, sorry,
yeah, brilliant album. And some of those are the people you mentioned. So it was kind of like, and I was hammering What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. It sounds like as though I'd ever get close, but like as a writer, I'm not sure there's a better album really that's ever been made, So I just caned it for like probably about a year. I just had it on all this. I'd come, I'd be in the kitchen with the kids cooking, whatever, and I'd just have it on constantly, just soaking it up, listening to the changes, and then sort of working out how to, I guess, implement that into my writing. So that was all going round, but as I sort of mentioned earlier, when we got into Yawn with Bill, they'd just done this Mick Head album, Dear Scott. And Mick takes a kind of a much more of a objective approach to his writing. So he'll use characters and situations as opposed to the subjective. And I kind of got into that because I was, I'm sort of in my 40s now. And I was just like, I don't really want to be sitting here pontificating over my pain right now. Do you know what I mean? It's like... Is that
because you're in a better place? Or
I don't know. Life's life, isn't it?
Yeah, life happens as you're going along,
Life happens as you're going along. There's good days and there's bad days, and I'm no different to anyone else, I don't know if it's that life's better, but I just felt like my pain didn't need to be heard by the minimal amount of people who'll probably buy it, let's say. So I was kind of thinking... And, and I've done it as well. I think that's I did that a lot on my Urka, my first solo album. It was very, very objective. It was very personally based, as a solo album would be. And I kind of put it out there. And there was a part of me that was a sort of private part of me that was a bit like, oh, God, I've gone a bit too far there. So with this, I kind of, just decided to take more of a objective approach and just bring characters into the writing. I would say as well, you're always in there, and I think it's on one of those videos that have been posted on Instagram with me saying it. I wouldn't ever deny that it's really about me, but I just quite enjoyed. I've never done it. I've never used like characters to portray feeling, let's say. So it was quite an interesting process. And also, I live in Leeds. I'm from Leeds. I'd been away from Leeds for quite a while. I lived in London for quite a while, and then moved to Spain after that because my wife's Spanish. So we lived in Spain for like 18 months, and I've been back for like 5 years now. But when I started writing this and we were sort of doing the album, it was still kind of new to me. And I was back in Headingley, which is near where I was brought up in Leeds, and I was kind of looking around and just sort of reassessing everything and seeing it in such a beautiful way, you know. And before, I'd wanted to just get out of Leeds in my 20s, like, you know, that was the plan. And then sort of coming back full circle, I was just seeing it for what it is, you know. It's just a place, and reminded me of all these places I'd been, and I realised that, you know, it was always a bit corny, but, you know, it was always there in front of me in many ways. So it was kind of celebrating that and the area. And with that, it kind of felt right to kind of, approach it from a sort of character perspective.
It's still your lived experiences to a degree.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is totally. Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, I can see myself in all of those songs, really. And, you know, as well, there was no real plan, to be honest, Jane. It wasn't like I sort of sat down and was like, right, I'm going to conceptualise this album. It's going to be based around Leeds. We're going to call it Present Nature. I just rolled into sessions with Bill, you know, and just took it. I wrote on the hop, which I never do. I usually, I'm a stockpiler of songs. I've always written. I've always got far too many songs that I have out there and recording. And I kind of went into the sessions with this set of songs ready that were kind of songs that didn't make it onto my first solo album. I thought, I need to do those. But during the sessions, it started to appear, you know, and the creative juices started flowing, and I got on a roll, and I started writing on the hop. So, like, because we were recording in West Kirby, which is a couple of hours away from Leeds, what we'd invariably do would be go for 3-day sessions, stay in an Airbnb or stay at Bill's or whatever, do 3 days, and then go back to Leeds, and then a few weeks later, a couple of weeks later, we'd do another 3 days. So in that couple of week kind of like, you know, respite back in Leeds, I was just like, you know, I was all over the place, like creatively, all these ideas were coming, and I was just sitting there with my guitar, and a new song would come. And Bill was great then, because I'd go in and say, look, you know, everyone always loves their latest song, don't they? But like, I've done this, what do you think? And he'd just be like, we've got to record it. You know, just get it down.
That must be gratifying, especially when it's been more of an organic process than just like ticking a song off a pile and thinking, right, what can we do with this one? Yeah. It's obvious. I think that's come through on the album. To be fair, it feels fresh and it feels lush in places and then spare in other places. And I mean, some of the harmonies are beautiful. But it's actually on my nose. I just put the, like, lush keys and harmonies, never let me be. The flute really stands out on is it a flute that stands out on that?
Yes, it's a flute, yeah.
And the new single, Bluebird, which is out now, isn't it?
It's out now.
Bluebird, you're sitting on top of the world. You spoke to God collect and she's answered, and she sees you. Oh, my as late as June, the weather won't leave you. It's funny what you miss when you're soaking wet and you're close to death, my bluebird. And on this cruel, cruel earth, you make peace with the sky. Bluebird, they don't care if you're dead or alive. Your land's against the wall with your bits and bats in a sleeping bag, my bluebird. And on this cruel, cruel earth, you make sense of the game. And in on top of the world. You fly above these pillars of iron through the universe, my bluebird. Fly, my bluebird. Oh, my bluebird. Fly, my bluebird.
That's the brand new single from Present Nature, Bluebird, from the album of the same name, Present Nature, which came out last Friday. And I've got the final part of my interview with Jonny Woolnough from Present Nature coming up. This is the final part of my interview with Present Nature's Jonny Woolnough. I asked him about his hopes for the album, about whether they're going to tour it, do some gigs, and also working with Bill Ryder-Jones, who produced the album, and how they went about creating and achieving that unique Present Nature sound.
I think I have to thank Bill for that, because he's a really sharp, intelligent cookie, Bill, and he sort of saw that, and he really, if Bill doesn't like something, he'll let you know, you've got to be tough. So he kind of shaped what it should be and what it should sound like, and certain songs he'd be like, you need to sort your lyrics out, or whatever, which is great. That's great. I need that, or this song. We tried a couple of things that didn't work, but he was the barometer for acceptance that it needed, and he's got quite high standards. So it had to go through his sort of internal washing machine, that, I think that's why it sounds like it does as well.
Yeah, he's definitely pulled it all together and given it his. A
lot of those songs like Bluebird, Spun on a Miracle, what were the ones? Columba, There'll Come a Time, they were all written during the sessions, like in between breaks. So they were influenced by the songs we'd already recorded, the music we were listening to, Yawn, Bill, everything. It was all sort of coming together, and then I'd go home and I'd get like a Bluebird or something. And like I say, then I'd go back to Bill and say, look, got this, what do you think? And he'd be like, yeah, let's do it,
Yeah, great stuff. If this isn't like a crass question, what does it feel like to hear your song go out on the radio?
Great.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about. It feels like you're walking on air for, a day afterwards. Incredible. I was in Spain. It was in the last summer holidays. I think it was like last August when it came out, and we were over there, and I was a bit down about it all, because it's, it was a bit of felt like a bit of an anticlimax, because we'd released the first single and there was a lot of work got into the whole, like the name and stuff, like behind the Instagram and behind me and everything. There's quite a few people involved, and I sort of went away on holiday just thinking like, is that it, sort of thing. And then it's funny you just said Shazammed it, because suddenly there was like 85 Shazams came up on our iTunes, and I was like, what, and then realised that something had happened. It had got like music play, which is an amazing feeling. And then I listened back to the show, and that's what it's all about, just.
So what are your hopes for the album going forward? I mean, you've released it on this limited edition vinyl.
I don't know, Jane. I can only hope that it gets a wider audience, really. I'd like it to get out there, to get more radio plays, to build, and more importantly, actually, as I'm saying it, is just to do as many live shows as possible. It's pretty difficult out there at the moment with the independent scene, and we're sort of starting from scratch a bit with this. So it's people taking a punt on you and sort of, who's this Present Nature? I'm pretty sure, and without sounding at all, hopefully, full of myself, I think if once they see us and we play these venues and they get an idea of what it is, it'll sail. But it's just trying to get in there, and for people to realise who you are and what you've got. So just getting as much live action as we can, playing as much as we can, bringing it to the people, really,
Yeah, I think the in-stores sometimes are the way to go, because you're kind of getting a feel for how you're going to do it live. And obviously, mostly it'll be like an acoustic session anyway, wouldn't it? Exactly. In a record store.
So just doing lots more of those, like the Wax and Beans, and then there's one here, Vinyl Whistle.
Vinyl Whistle,
yeah, there's a few on the circuit. So just getting out there and meeting people and just trying to, get it out to as many people as possible. It feels like most people probably say this about their music, but it feels like an album that needs to be heard. It's
it definitely does. It definitely does. I mean, when you sent me the link to it the other night. I listened to it 4 times on the bounce, and every time I picked out different things from it, and every song.
Amazing.
It's a fantastic album.
Thank you.
So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Jane, and please, spread the word, because everything helps, like it really does at the moment. It's such a kind of grassroots cottage thing that we're doing. It might seem quite cool on Instagram and everything, but we're just trying to get as many people to sort of hear it and get onto it. And the album's out digitally Friday, the 20th of March. iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Deezer, so you'll be able to download the album.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Jonny, for your time, and good luck with the gigs and with all the releases. And I will speak to you in a couple of months' time when everything's out there.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks ever so much, Jane. Thanks for your time.
from the brand new Present Nature album called Present Nature. That track is called These Are the Ways I Pray, and I just want to say thank you so much to Jonny Woolnough for spending time on the Zoom interview a couple of weeks ago now. He was really generous with his time. I couldn't get my Zoom sorted out on the Monday, and then there was something else happened on the Tuesday. We eventually managed it on the Wednesday, so thank you so much to Jonny. And he is absolutely right. That is an album that needs to be heard. It is beautiful. Please go and download it. You can download it from all sources, and there is going to be vinyl that is coming out at the end of June. I've managed to get my hands on a copy, pre-order a copy, a special copy.